Hey everyone, welcome back to Candid Conversations with two professional photographers in the Western Mass area. So when you're looking at this is more of like a vendor table style of conversations. We do have a bucket full of a whole bunch of different topics, but today we're going to deal with two topics right off the bat that are not part of the bucket, so the bucket's going to be filled for another time. So thank you guys for coming back to the channel. This is William Russell from William Russell Photography, and I am Ron Lemelin from Lemelin Photography, and we are from Western Massachusetts, but we travel all over. So usually we pick from the book, but I ain't going to do that today. You talked about something that's on your YouTube channel, and Bill has his own YouTube channel. It's called Raw Exposure, so I'll leave a link down below. Make sure you go check that out and give a follow. We both had the same topic on the same day, and in that topic, we'll talk about that topic later on. And nothing was planned. Right, and we didn't know either one. We were like, hey, I just had this. I was like, oh my God, I just did that. And like simultaneously, we both recorded on the same time within the hour. So we're going to talk about that, which is going to be ghosting people. So we're going to talk about that later. What we want to talk about is, you mentioned in your video, the bride calling up the photographer and saying the wedding was off and the groom had passed away. Right. So you and I had talked about it, and I saw it on a YouTube channel, start to finish. And it was the bride for whatever reason, and nobody even knows why this happened. We think that they broke up. Which makes sense. But what happened was the bride reaches out to the photographer, hey, groom passed away. As a vendor and as a business owner, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I would question it. No, I wouldn't either. I don't think I would say, it's like, oh my God. If somebody said they had an illness, came down with an illness. Give me a death certificate, Right. Nobody would do that. My place of work used to do that, but that's because of law enforcement. That's completely different. As a vendor, and if the intent of the bride was to get money back because they broke up, before the groom got the money back, I get that. It's still, just had this problem the other day. Once you give a deposit, in my contract, it's clear, 5 days for you to change your mind. Right. If after 5 days, I don't hear from you, that date is locked in, and your $1,000 deposit is now non-refundable. Right. Okay. So what would you do if somebody called you up? And, I know we're business owners, but we're also still human beings. Right. How would you handle something like that? No, I would give it back. I would give it back. I would give it back. I want to say somebody came down with an illness, and I did give their deposit back. It wasn't for a wedding. It was for something else. Yeah, like why? That's not the right thing. You can't, So in the video on YouTube, the bride, reached out to gave the money back. The photographer did Google obituaries in the area for the groom's name, and nothing came up. And she said it could have been a private one. Sure. He could have been military and didn't have it posted and didn't have it public. So there's a couple of scenarios. It could have been that it wasn't posted yet either. So there's a couple of scenarios why it wouldn't be in there. But so the photographer had maybe a small feeling, or just wanted to confirm. Right. Not, something shady. Right. Just I'm really sorry to hear that. Maybe she wanted to send a sympathy card. Right. So for whatever reason, whether she had an inkling or not, she did Google it, and there was nothing there. She gave the money back. Kudos to her. I would have done the same thing. 100%. I would have done the same thing. 3 months later, the groom calls the photographer and starts talking to the photographer about either the wedding or getting, whatever. And the bride's like, the photographer's like, I heard you died. Your bride told me that you died. So right off the bat, there's something that happened between the two of them. Sure. Now, here's a situation. We'll go back to that in just a second about what the conversation happened with the guy that supposedly died. Thing. I return the deposit in the same manner it was delivered. Okay? If somebody sent me a Venmo, Jane Doe sent me that Venmo, I'm going to either send a check or a Venmo back to the same person who sent me. Right. Now, if the father of the bride is paying for it, okay, and the bride cancels the wedding, that deposit goes back to the father.
The father-in-law, not to her.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is just the proper channel.
Sure.
If this bride's gonna say, hey, I'll swing by and pick up a check from you, it's like, for me, that would be where I'd have to say, okay, I usually don't even give deposits back, but under the circumstances, death in the family, I have to, and I would tell her that so that it balances my books. If Jane Doe is the bride, Bob Smith sent me the check, Jane Doe is the bride, Jane Doe is the one I have the contract with.
Right.
Okay, so I would send the money back to whoever sent me the check. So going back to the conversation with the groom on the phone, with the bride, it's like, I heard that you died, and obviously that he didn't. So at the end of the video, the person that got the deposit back, legally, and I believe there was a legal stance, and you and I had talked about this, there had to have been because somebody faked something, and legally...
There's got to be some legalities.
The photographer has the right to that deposit, 100%.
Is it worth going to small claims court for that?
That is a great point.
You know what I'm saying?
I've done that where I've gotten a lawyer before because I had to get a lawyer to do something, and it's an expensive process, but it protects you.
Yes.
So there was no, as far as I know, there was no lawyer that got involved with getting the money back, but I feel, I don't know if the groom was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about that. We're going to get you your money back because that wasn't right for her to do.
Probably was.
And I feel like that would have been the right thing to do. So, yeah, so that's what's happening in the industry nowadays is people are just getting crazy with that. So this leads us up to, did you want to say anything else about that whole bride fake dead?
This is what causes things going forward. This is what causes business owners to question people more and to maybe get a bad taste in their mouth, you know, when stuff like this happens. Because, look, you'd like to just think everybody was straight. Yeah. Clearly this person was not. Yeah. You know, so, but you don't want to take that out on the next client.
Correct. You need a very thick skin, especially when you're a small business owner.
Right.
Because there is crap that happens to all small business owners for good, bad, and otherwise. You know, things that you made mistakes and you're going to suffer the repercussions of that. And some things that are completely just not your fault and they still happen.
That's, turn the tables. That's like if you, say, set this wedding up and you're going to do the wedding and you know, for some reason, not that we would ever do this, you called the bride and said, hey, I have to cancel your wedding. You know, I had a death in the family, and then on the news, for some reason, the news shows you out water skiing on the day of
because you want to go on a cruise instead, yeah.
Right. So, like,
contracts protect both parties.
Yes.
If you are ever hiring a professional to do your wedding, DJ, photographer, flowers, officiant, you better. I have spoken to so many people almost 5 years ago, and they were like, oh, my friend of the family is going to do that. And, you know, well, okay, great. And everybody, I don't even want to go down that road to see how many stories you and I have heard about Uncle Bob, brand new camera, and he's going to do it as a gift to us.
Right.
No contract. You're not protected.
No.
You're not protected in any way, whether you, for anything, you know, and I don't care if it's, you got to have a contract.
Any
I've got a contract with my second shooters.
activity you should.
Yeah. It just protects you. It just protects you. It doesn't like, oh my God, just in case, hey, Bobby, in case you screw me. It's just more of the, you know, it protects me.
Right. And it breaks everything down in the in case stuff happens.
Yeah.
Like,
read all the fine print. Yeah. This is what happens if something happens to me on my wedding day or on your wedding day. I send a second shooter and I send another shooter.
You get in a car wreck on the way to the wedding.
Exactly.
You know,
life happens to everyone.
Right.
Life happens to everyone. So this is we're going to go into the next topic of what you and I hit on yesterday, which is very prevalent in the industry nowadays for every vendor, and I want to say even every business owner. If you want to buy a refrigerator from somebody, and as a salesperson, you're like, hey, you know, do you want it? Yeah, let me think about it. 3 weeks go by, and it happened to be the last white one you had in stock, and it's no longer available.
And you're holding it for that person.
The ghosting of people nowadays is so bad.
Yeah, it's rude as hell.
It's just so bad. But I understand people are busy. They
Or,
work third
you know what I was
shift.
thinking, like yesterday too, like say somebody had a wedding in 2026, 2027. For them, it's not maybe a priority.
Correct.
So they're like, oh, I got plenty of time. Because they just don't understand what we do, or a videographer, or whatever the case is. They're like, oh, I'll let them know.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're like, we're getting the same date. Hey, you got this open.
Yeah. And the ghosting is being very, very much a problem with all vendors nowadays across the wedding industry. And I just did a video, you just did a video, and I want to touch on it again, then we're going to go to the bucket. Just do the right thing. Have the decency to just say, hey, you weren't a good fit for us.
Right.
Your price was too high. We found somebody closer, which is what happened to me the other day. I'm living in Massachusetts, and somebody wanted me to go to New Hampshire.
Okay.
It was 4.5 hours one way.
Right. That's
so I had to put the prices up higher to cover myself, because I'm traveling either 4.5 hours one way. There's no way I'm doing a full 8-hour wedding.
Stay over, all that stuff.
And then driving back home.
Right.
So there's no way I'm going to do that. So, and she, in the process of doing my video about how people have been ghosting and nobody's texting me back, I got 2 texts yesterday saying, hey, Ron, we decided to go in another direction. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Maybe they watch your video.
And the video wasn't even posted yet.
Okay.
They just, because my software, my software sends messages, hey, haven't heard from you in a week, just checking in to see if you still want to see, looking for a photographer, yes or no. That's it. And I always end an email and a text with a question. That hopefully, not forces, but hopefully gets them to say, okay, he's only asking if I'm still looking for a photographer. If I've still got a shot, just say, yes, we're still looking.
Right.
We're got a lot of things going on. Perfect. I'll give you another week to think about it.
Right, but when you send out, an email, a text, you go on Messenger, you go on Facebook, you've exhausted, you made a phone call, you've exhausted everything, then they still don't get back to you. That's an issue.
Yeah, I do. You and I talked about this. I do 2 times. Here's your proposal. Great. A week goes by. I'll send you a little email. I'll send you a text and an email at the same time. Sometimes I can't tell if the text has been seen. So the email, my software tells me it's been read.
Right.
It says, hi, you have all of my packages. I know your wedding's not until next year, but my calendar is filling up. I'm just checking in to see if you're still looking for a photographer.
Or if you're doing a bridal show.
Or no. That's exactly where the leads come from.
I'm doing one. You did one last weekend. I'm doing one
coming up.
You're at my
weekend son next weekend.
Yeah. So, I have to know.
In their defense, wedding couples' defense, they're just coming for information.
Sure, yeah.
You and I are chomping at the bit to book.
Right.
So there's a little bit more of an anticipation on our end.
True. Yep.
An expectation on our end. And for them, they're like, do. So there's a little bit more laid back.
They're like on a Sunday drive.
And I get that. Yeah. And I get that completely. Because you're not ready, because you're 2026.
Right.
But you don't realize we're booking 2026 and 2027 already. They don't see that.
They don't understand our process.
Right. So then my emails, first one goes out, it sees that it's been read. A week later, I'll send them another text and message. It shows that it's been read again and still no reply. Then, and I don't delete projects, I just archive the project so you don't get any more emails. And then if you ever call me back because it was a death in the family or anything else like that, then your information is still there, and I can still quote you the same if I'm still available.
Right.
I'm still available.
Right.
So, ghosting is just be kind and courteous, and just say, hey, we're not ready to even look at this because our wedding is 2026. No problem. I'll take your date out of the calendar and call me when you're ready. And that's what I tell people. If you're not ready, just tell me.
There's certain days in the year that, like I said in my video, October 8th.
Yep.
And you had a date, I think, in September, and it was like, it's like...
We can only hold it for so long, because if eventually it doesn't get booked by someone, I'm going away that weekend with my family.
Right.
So if you're I can't hold it for 3 months.
No.
I can't hold it for 3 months. It's just, that's not unprofessional, and it's not the right way to run a business.
How hard is it to get back to you? It's not.
Either way. Let me know either way.
Right,
yes, Ron, we're still considering you. You're our top 3. We just need a little bit more time to, get through that. That's fine. Take another week. No problem at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Done. All right, you ready to go to the bucket?
Yeah, let's hit that bucket.
You go first.
All right.
So what we're doing with the bucket is, this is where we He put stuff in there, I put stuff in there. Neither one of us know what the other person put in there. And we're just grabbing a ticket at random and just talking about it for 2 or 3 minutes and just giving our, these are all our own opinions. This is nothing, this is just him and I rambling, and this is just all our own opinions. So if you don't like it, just, what do you say? Just scroll on by?
I just say scroll on by.
Just scroll on by. Just scroll on by. All right, what do we got?
All right, you must have wrote this as long as hell. All right, social media as a marketing tool. Is it sufficient for building a photography business? Debate whether relying on social media platforms to market a photography business is a valid strategy, or if it lacks professionalism and the needed credibility.
So off of that, I'm going to ask you one question.
Yeah.
What is more important, a website or an Instagram account?
Website.
Why?
Well, more professional looking for one.
100%.
It makes you legitimate.
Yes.
Right?
We're not smart either.
Early morning, have my coffee. So it makes you more legitimate.
100%.
I think it spells out what you offer more so than an
100%.
Instagram account.
Yep. Instagram account is free.
Instagram's
Website
free.
you have to pay for.
True.
And you have to develop it, and you have to post it, and you have to server it, and you have to
update it. You have
update it. So there's more legality and more professionalism in a website. 100%.
I think you can put more information
Yep.
on your website.
Yep.
Are you insured?
Yep.
Okay, like different packages you offer. There's all sorts of advantages to a website.
And your social media links could be at the bottom, so then they can go look at your
They can just go, sure.
Because the website, I don't know if you do this any differently. I'll up that maybe every 2 or 3 months. I'll put a new picture or two that I just did from a wedding. Social media, like you and I, we update it every day.
You almost kind of have to.
Yeah, every day we are posting something different that's not on my website. So we're posting things on a daily basis to an every other day basis. So social media is good, but I don't feel like it solidifies you as a professional until you have a website to back it up.
Right, I agree.
I feel like that's the 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I agree. The website should be your main, and then you can branch off and
100%.
Do your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very tiresome to keep up on the social media. It is very.
Yeah, I try to nail it in the morning.
Me too.
Or late at night before I go to bed. But.
Just before, and all I do is I've been updating my cover photo every single day. I've been running a couple of ads for headshots and weddings because this is engagement season.
Right.
You've got a bridal show coming up next weekend at Mohegan Sun.
Yep.
That's going to be good for you. I just did the Connecticut one in
Last
Hartford,
weekend,
Connecticut, which was really good. Saturday was busy, Sunday was slow, but still got some good leads from that. So that part's been good. So anything else?
No, I
think we nailed that one. All right. Just throw it over there. All right. Hiring a second shooter with one DSLR or mirrorless camera, good or bad? As a second shooter.
And I only wrote...
As a second shooter, DSLR or mirrorless camera, good or bad to hire a second shooter with one camera?
I only wrote this because I got this question the other day. Somebody had emailed me. I'll be straight up, it's bad. Because you're still, if you're hiring a second shooter.
It's a second shooter.
Right. I told the person, look, this is what I require. Mm-hmm. Okay. 2 cameras, memory cards, obviously, extra memory cards, in case a flash. What else did I tell them? Some 2 strobe lights, bare minimum. That's bare minimum. Some primes, and if you got a zoom in there, we'll use that too.
All right.
I
am a maybe.
Okay.
I will entertain the thought of one camera, providing you've got a good lens. Meaning, if you're showing up with only a 16 to 35, I can't. You would not be an asset to me when it comes to that. Now again.
But let me ask you this: what if they have to take photos of the groom and the groom party? So you send them.
That's what second shooter's responsibility is.
And they have one camera, and it craps out on you.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Good point. So going back to that, it would be a maybe for me because the level of experience and quality would have to be top notch with one camera.
Right.
Now, there is some people that are really good at what they do, and if they only have one camera because that's all they can afford now, so they're working seconds for this. I don't require my seconds to know off-camera flash.
Okay.
Because I already have 2 flashes on the floor. If my second shooter now puts 2 more flashes on the floor, they have to be at the same position as me or opposite of me, which means they're in my frame and I'm in their frame.
Right.
Okay. So, but you and I shoot a lot together and we both have 2 lights. We work with it and we know how to get out of the other person's way.
Yeah.
That's where experience comes in.
Right.
So if somebody had one camera and they had at least 2 lenses. So let's just 2 lenses, 1 camera.
What lenses would you
for a second shooter would have to be definitely a wide, so at least a 24 to 70 better. I think that would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see something with on the longer end, like a 200.
Yeah.
Only because it gets you further away when you're doing that groom, sees the bride for the first time. You don't want to be within 5 feet of him because he sees you. He won't respond and react the way so at 200 millimeters, man, you're
or
so
even
far
in the ceremony, if you can't get up far enough.
Yeah, fair enough. So 24 to 70, 70 to 200, one body would be okay for me, but your experience would have to be
right up
meaning
there,
your work would have to be really good.
Right, okay.
Only camera, 2 lenses would have to have 2 card slots.
Yeah.
Okay, so
100%.
if you had both lenses and off-camera flash and you still only had 1 card slot, reluctantly, I think I would have to pass. And I hate saying this because some Sony cameras and some Nikon cameras and some Canon cameras still only have 1 slot.
They do. The older ones, I know the older, like the Z6,
and
Z7,
people that's just starting out, they really only have the older ones.
Right.
And now to
cards fail.
It happened to me. My second shooter's card failed right in the middle of the ceremony. He had no other cards on him. I had no idea. I scolded him afterwards, but I had to go to my bag and give him more cards and stuff like that. But life happens. Technology happens. You have to be prepared for anything.
Right.
Oh my God, it's raining outside. It wasn't supposed to rain. I got 6 umbrellas in my car.
Yeah.
Just to get people back and forth to the car. I don't care. Then go outside and get creative with it. So yeah, that would be, the other thing. And I feel like this would be a good time to touch on if you're trying to get into the wedding industry and you only have 1 camera. You can do it 2 lenses and 1, but you've only done 2 or 3 weddings. I would be very hesitant about going to a bridal show and getting involved in a bridal show. There is people like you and I that do 20 weddings a year and you've only done 3, you're going to get lost. And I don't mean this in a bad, unprofessional way. I'm not doing it. Everybody starts someplace. But I'm just saying, get 2 years of second shooting under your belt. Get 2, 3, 5, have 10 or 15 weddings you've done on your own, not as a second shooter. Your work as a second shooter does not count as doing a wedding.
Right, because you, as a primary, you have so many different responsibilities.
Yes.
You have stuff you have to get. You have to. You cannot miss these shots.
And if you one bad wedding, because you've got the wedding itch, one bad wedding, and something happens with camera or lenses or whatever, and it's done, you've got a bad review that's going to be, who's going to hire you after somebody that says, my photographer's camera failed in the middle of the ceremony, we have no pictures of our day.
And that's why it's important as a, if you're starting out and you're on your own, you best have 2 cameras.
100%. You shouldn't be doing a wedding without 2. You shouldn't be doing wedding without 2 cameras. With dual car slots.
100%.
Nowadays. Sorry.
And if you had a 3rd camera, keep it in the car.
Crash. We'll do that one. We nailed that one out of the park. So your turn.
All right. Okay. Wedding photography related, obviously. Should you charge average to high pricing when you are a new photographer, and the pitfalls when doing so?
All right. This piggybacks literally off of what we just said.
Yeah.
All right. Here you go.
Boom.
I got a scenario for you.
Okay.
A person that either has 1 camera or very new to the wedding industry, 4 weddings under their belt, what should their entry level packages start at? 4 weddings.
For how many hours?
Starting price.
So you mean like an 8-hour day?
No, because that's not, some people do, I do four, I
4,
offer
6, and 8.
I offer 4, 6, and 8. Only 4 weddings under your belt.
I wouldn't be charging professional, like, grade prices.
I've got a number already, and I'm going to say in a minute. I want to see where you feel somebody who's just getting into the wedding industry, hasn't done any bridal shows at all. No bridal shows at all. No bridal shows at all.
For 8
3
hours.
weddings, all local to where they are in, Connecticut. This photographer's in Connecticut, and they're not shooting at the society room. They're shooting at like banquet halls and stuff like that. That's all they've done was banquet halls. Okay. 4 weddings under the belt, only done banquet halls.
Damn.
What do you feel like their wedding pricing should be?
As a number?
As a number.
I would say for a 4-hour date.
4-hour package.
4-hour date, I don't know, $800 maybe.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. 100%.
But you still got to be good.
Even for 4 hours.
Yeah.
$1,000, which should be your max for that. Only because you're just starting out, you're just building your portfolio, and you're just gaining experience to get to that next level. If you feel like you've done 2 weddings and you've got this itch to go and you want to start doing the bridal shows and you think you're jumping in at $2,800.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you've got rocks in your head.
These brides are very smart. At when they come to the thing, they're looking at the display right behind you. They hear what you're saying, but they're looking at the work. They're either seeing, okay, basic shots, or they're seeing, wow,
that's cool as hell, right?
And it's one or the other.
Yep.
And it's one or the other. And I'm not being unprofessional by saying this. If you're gonna get into this, and you're gonna get into this, start slow. Start slow and low, and just 2-3 weddings under your belt, you should not be charging $2,800 for starting packages.
I mean, let's throw that scenario. We'll amp it up a little bit. So say you charge crazy like prices, the prices that say a 20-year person, right? So you start off with that.
But they feel like that's what the market is paying.
Right.
Why can't I get that
So
money?
now you've got 10, 15, 20 years under your belt, and where are you going to go?
Yep.
Well, you're already at, so where are you going to go?
And how many do you think you're going to get?
None.
You might get one.
You
might get one because everybody else is booked.
Right.
And your work could be that good.
Right.
We're not poo-pooing this. We're not being negative about it. We're just being realistic. I did 5 years of photography before I even did my first bridal show. Before I even did my first bridal show.
Before I even put photographer on my name, like on social media and made a way, I had years. Because look, you don't go buy a paintbrush and all of a sudden you're doing Ron Lemelin painter.
Yep.
I don't put a ceiling fan in and then, oh, you know what? I think I'll advertise myself as an electrician, even though you need a license for an electrician. But you see what I'm saying? So it's no different.
That's a great point.
So we'll stay with the paintbrush thing. I'm not going to paint my first 5 paintings and then advertise myself as a painter on social media.
Yeah.
That's just foolish. And then charge like an absorbent amount of money.
Yeah. But there is people that have done second shooting 2, 3, 4, 5 times. All of a sudden they want to be a wedding photographer and they're charging $3,200 for their weddings. And they've done no primary weddings on their own.
Yeah.
I want the brides to ask me, and I tell them. If they don't ask me, I tell them. And when they're like, hey, any other questions? And they were like, no, I think that's it. I said, tell you what, so I'm going to give you some advice. What you should be asking me is not, where did I get the idea for that shot that I did?
Right.
What you should be asking me is, how many years have I been in business? How many years have I been doing weddings on my own, not as a second shooter? How many weddings did I do last year and the year before that? Oh, I didn't think of that. So then they would say, okay, so how many weddings did you do last year? And I would tell them 35.
And also, like,
they're not asking those questions.
They're not.
Those are the questions they should be asking, because that right there, be honest.
Right.
Don't say, I did 10 last year.
Don't jack up your numbers.
Yeah, don't say you did 10 last year and you only did 3.
Right. Because when they look at your website or something, see the same couple 85 times.
That happens.
It's going to be an issue.
That happens. Okay, we beat that one up too. That's done. Anything else? Go ahead.
I
because I feel like this is a very predominant in the industry.
Some couples were asking, can you shoot in low light? I had a couple at the show in Springfield.
Yep.
They were an older couple.
Yep.
And I showed them some stuff I did with low light because, you know, the
What
society
did you
room.
do? You showed them?
Yeah.
You didn't just say, yeah, I can do that?
No,
you
I
showed them?
I said, I had a thing, you know. And
That's it.
you know. So,
Society room in
so when somebody says natural light, you should have a photographer that can shoot in all light.
My displays show natural light, artificial light by adding flash.
We're not saying light and airy. We're saying
right, just natural light, natural sunsets and things like that. So I show natural lights, I show flash shots, I show night shots, I show champagne shots, and I show a variety of different things because every venue is different. If you walked up to a photographer's booth and they had nothing but sunset, beautiful sunset pictures.
Right.
Beautiful orange skies, nothing's photoshopped at all. I mean, it's just legit beautiful things. And you've got a bride that's getting married at the Knights of Columbus. And I'm not poo-pooing Knights of Columbus. I'm not poo-pooing any venue. Some venues don't have a complete view of the sky.
Right.
But if that person only shows sunset pictures, what makes that bride think you can go to Hartford, Connecticut, and there's no sunsets there?
Not at the society room.
You need to show what you do at night.
Yep.
You need to show what you do inside. You need to show what you do at nighttime. Society room, you need a 1.8 minimum.
Yep.
1.8 minimum prime lens to shoot inside of there.
Yeah.
Until you get to the dance floor, and then you can open up your zooms and stuff like that.
Right.
It's just that.
It's that dark.
It's just that dark.
You know, and some of these churches you can't use flash.
Churches also you can't use a flash. Perfect example.
You know, I did a church in Hartford, and it was in the south end of Hartford, and it was dark in there. Like, you got to know how to shoot that.
Yeah. And then when you get, and if you're a new photographer and you didn't know that, and the bride didn't know that, and she didn't tell you, by the way, there's no flash, and you get there and you're like one DSLR camera and you've got only on-camera flash and you can't use it.
It's gonna be an issue.
I told you the other day that bride that hired me for engagement set pictures because I wasn't available for her wedding.
Yeah.
And all of her wedding pictures she got back from the company.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna do that
in another video. Topic.
Yeah. They were all blurry.
Yeah.
They were all blurry. What are you gonna do? That bride is going to do a bad review for that company because they sent an inexperienced photographer to that venue.
Yeah, and we've both redone weddings for people that have had that.
Just that's had bad experiences. You know. Sure. All right, my turn. Anything else?
I think it's your turn.
All right, we're going to do one more.
All right.
Bills are very skinny. I can tell which ones. These are mine. These are mine. These are nice and wide. All right, which is good because I didn't know what you wrote and you didn't know what I wrote.
No.
And again, just our opinions. Subcontracting out images for processing, are they true representation of your work? Do you want me to go first? Or do you want, okay.
Yeah, sure.
I use a software that I can upload my images. They have multiple presets to make it look like somebody else's work. Make my images make it look like somebody else's work. Edit them and download them, and it looks like I did them.
But in that software, you can use your own.
Yes. That right there, I feel like is a misrepresentation of you. Because that style, you did not develop. You did not brand it. You did not. So you can't have light and airy images on your website and then show dramatic sunset pictures with flash in the background. It's the complete opposite. So let me say that one more time. Being very careful. If it's your preset you're using and if it is your style that is in the software that you're using, it is not a misrepresentation of your work. If you're uploading your work, new photographer, oh, I like that style, I'm going to start going in that way. And you upload your images to this, it edits it in that Cinetone, brownish hues kind of thing like that. Okay? And you download that, that is a misrepresentation of your work. 100%. That is not something you developed. That is not something you went to. It's something that you gravitated to. That is a misrepresentation of your work. So with the software that I use, I can upload it. There's a there's a preset. It's not even a preset. All I do is have it clean it up, adjust the contrast, sharpening, exposure, and sharpness. Those 4 things.
Right,
sharpness,
right.
That's all it does. It does not change the colors. It does not change the hues. It does not do anything except for contrast, exposure, sharpness, and overall exposure. It uploads. I download it. Now when I get them there, they're exactly how I took them, just a little bit processed a little bit to kind of clean them up a little bit.
Right.
And then I decide from there if I'm keeping, or when I do the culling, if I'm keeping or not. So very long story, very long answer to that. If you're uploading images to another person's preset and downloading them, yes, that's a misrepresentation of your work. That is somebody else's style you piggyback off of. If you upload it and use it with the intent of just cleaning it up, adjusting exposure, because not everything is taken with proper exposure when you take it. Sometimes it's too dark, sometimes it's too low, but shooting JPEG and RAW, that's another subject. Okay, so now there's leeway in there for making proper exposure. When I get them back, they're 80% done, keep, delete, done.
What about sending them out of country?
I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that.
They subcontract, they do the event, wedding, and then they send those photos to, say, somebody in the Philippines.
Okay. I've heard of them. I don't know anything about them.
Then they get them back and then they kick them out.
Yeah.
I personally would never do that.
Would you use a company closer, or
No, I wouldn't use a company at all.
Okay. All right. I only do it for efficiency purposes.
No, I'm not saying like the way I see what you're doing,
Yeah.
but for me to send, I'm like maybe a control freak.
All right. I agree.
So,
I understand.
For me to send out something to say we're in Holyoke, say if I sent it to, I don't know, Northampton.
Yep.
Right. I don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
You know, I want to see what I'm doing.
Yep.
On these photos.
Yep.
I'm kind of, anal in the
fact.
fact
And that's okay. And that's okay. But the work that you do represents you. The question was, if it gets sent out to another company and it comes back different than what your brand is, that is a misrepresentation of your work.
Right.
If it comes back, I use it with the intent of, I've got 4 weddings in a row.
Yeah.
I need to produce, edit,
you need to
cull, I got to be quick about it. So once I'm doing one wedding, I've got another wedding being edited over there and coming down in this computer over here.
But you can see what it's doing.
Correct. I tell it what to do.
You can see what it's doing in real time almost.
I tell it what to do.
It's not in some other town getting done and where you can't keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like it is the inexperienced photographers that are trying to get the $3,700 weddings by shooting okay images here, uploading them, and the software is going to do everything it needs to do to come back with another good image set in that style.
Right.
That is a misrepresentation of you, because you do not shoot that way. You didn't shoot that way. You're just piggybacking off of somebody else's preset, and you can buy the presets, and you can.
There's 8 gazillion of them out there,
I just do them to clean them up.
Got them.
Proper exposure, extra contrast, download. That's it.
Yep. It's pretty much that in a nutshell.
One more for good measure.
All right. Let me pick up.
Mix it up.
Mix it up. I'll take this this big one. Get this the heck out of here. The impact of AI on photography. Discuss how artificial intelligence is influencing the photography industry, from editing software to AI-driven cameras. Explore the potential benefits and challenges that come with these advancements.
Generator.
Yeah.
In Photoshop. And actually it's in Lightroom now too.
I've been seeing a lot of photographs on Facebook, and I was talking to my uncle, and he goes, "Oh, look at this photo." And he's not a photography dude, right? So I'm like, "That's AI." It is? I'm like, "Yeah, that's AI." And to the average person, some of these, they're looking at these photos and going, "Oh my God," and it's not a real photo.
Yeah.
They had one the other day I saw in the hands, they had like 10 fingers. It's I don't know.
Do you think the bride and grooms care about AI? Because I know some brides that want to make sure you make me look my best. Okay? That is, AI can do that. I use Photoshop and
But with Photoshop, you could have done that with Photoshop when it became.
Correct.
It just took you forever.
What's the generator called?
AI, or it's Regen Fill.
Yes. That is AI driven. I use that all the time.
But you can do the same thing with a stamp tool, right? But it would take you. It would take you a long time.
Yes. So this is where AI is beneficial.
Is helpful.
Taking that stand out of the way.
Yes.
Photoshopping somebody out that's walking in the beach behind somebody is another way. I use it with that intent.
100%.
Okay?
Yep.
I don't make a size 12 bride look like a size 2.
No.
That's an extreme situation of that, and that is a misrepresentation and not just...
Yeah, I would never
It's
do that.
not, if somebody's got a zit, of course, that's AI. Any blemish, that's AI.
It's AI,
So
and it's something that I would have done
100%.
long before I was
Yep.
using Photoshop.
Yep.
Since it almost pretty much came out.
Yep.
And I would do that anyways.
Yep.
So
So if it's used in the right context without making people not look like themselves, that's the line.
or if they have a wedding at, we'll just say, the Ranch Golf Course, and then you change it to where they're in Italy.
Wow, great.
Right.
Which is
I'm not gonna
completely
do that
possible
either.
nowadays.
You can.
It's completely possible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Back like 2 or 3 years ago, actually before COVID, there's been a couple of weddings that you go outside and you get a good shot. You get a good shot of the bride and groom, and the sky was kind of like, eh. It was just kind of okay. I have taken a sky and replaced the
like a
sky
sky replacement
with
type thing.
something a little bit more cloudy to add a little bit more pop to the thing. Now, some people might say that's a misrepresentation of the day. To me, I didn't do it to all 75 pictures of being outside. I took it to the best 20 that I had and just made them a little bit better. They were proper exposed. They had a great kiss. They had a great dip. Everything was perfect, but the sky was just blue.
Kind of.
And I want a little bit more clouds inside of there.
People always think when you have, oh, this is great sky, a fully blue sky, I hate it.
Yeah, a little bit of clouds I like.
I like a little bit of cloud.
I like a little bit of clouds, and that's what I did. I just added a little bit of cloud, and I don't feel like that is misrepresenting or abusing AI or creating something that wasn't normally there.
Right. Yeah.
In some of my sunset pictures, I was accused of changing the sky, and I'm like, nah, that's exactly how the sky was. Sometimes you get lucky and get a beautifully colored sky, and you're like,
yeah.
But you got to show a variety of the stuff that you do. So anyway, that's the line that I use. I use it to make things, clean things up, but I don't do them to shrink faces and shrink body size, and that's not.
I think it's for us. It's a faster tool.
Yeah.
That we use, that we would have used another tool within Photoshop years ago that does the same thing.
Yeah. And now it's just.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Fixing flyaway hair. I did
oh gosh.
I did I think it was an engagement shoot, and the wind was just brutal, and her hair was flying away. I would fix that before AI stuff.
Yes.
But it was so tedious and time consuming. So with the new AI, you're able to fix that.
Yeah.
It speeds up your workflow a little bit.
Yeah. And it actually.
I didn't give her a wig to misrepresent her hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So.
What I don't like about it is I don't look like looking at images that you can tell they took the background out.
Yeah, right.
I get that the blank wall behind them is not that great, but like you said, I'm not going to take that same bride and groom and make it look like they're standing in Greece or Italy. I feel like that would be the misrepresentation. I mean, if I wanted to play,
if you want to mess around and goof around, I would never do that I would never give that to a client.
I was just going to say, if you gave that to the client, they'd be like, oh my God, that looks amazing. How come you only did one picture? Because you weren't in Greece.
Right.
I was just playing around to do something like that, to show you, but yeah, that's the fine line between.
Speaking of that, real quick, I was doing a maternity shoot, and I was having the husband, do her dress.
Yeah.
And I'll use his name, Roger, super nice guy. And when he did the dress, he stepped back and kind of tripped and was like that. And I captured that photo.
Yep.
And I did 2 photos. I left him in.
Yep.
Because it was hilarious. Yep. And then I, got him out.
Got him out of the other one. Yep.
But I gave them both photos, and
that's fine.
It came out like really good.
Yeah. You do that with the veils too.
Yeah.
When the maid of honor is doing the fluffing of the veil, she goes up like this, and I always tell them to bring your arms right back down, and then we Photoshop them out afterwards. And everybody always wonders how you do that. You got a person that's throwing it in the air, and then we Photoshop them out. So you only see,
or if it's a comical photo, you want to leave them in there because to kind of get them in there, you leave it in there.
But anything else you want to talk about?
There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. There's a lot of stuff.
I think we still got quite a few more to go. I feel like we need to start doing this on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Until wedding season picks up for us. Just coming back once a week and just doing this, just so we can keep these videos coming out and going through the content because.
And I didn't swear in this episode. My raw exposure, I kind of.
Yeah.
It's a little spicy.
So. All right. So everyone, thank you guys for coming back to the channel. This is just our candid conversations, and this is just our opinion on things that are happening in the wedding industry, good, bad, and otherwise, when it comes to that. So I'm going to put Bill's video channel underneath down the bottom in the description. So you guys can go check him out and go give a follow over there. Raw exposure. And this is just, like I said, we just got a bucket. We're just having conversations and just keeping ourselves busy. This is just our opinion. This is just our opinion. Like Bill says, if you don't like it, troll on by, scroll on by, whatever you want to do. But if there's anything in here that is relatable, put your comments down below. If you're a photographer or another vendor and you had ghosting problems, or you want to open it up to have us talk about other topics that are inside of there, put it down in the comments down below. Remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It does help us out, and it gives us a chance to let other people know that what we're doing, let the algorithm start sending it out to other people and just having raw conversations like this. So that's William Russell Photography. I'll put his link down below. Ron Lemelin Photography, and thank you guys for coming back to the channel. Remember to smile more, because it sure does hurt less. Peace.